Hello and welcome back to Best in the Biz. My name is Ian McDonald. I'm your host, and today we are with Peter Buckle with PB Productions. So thank you, Peter, for coming on out.
Nice to meet you. Well,
Yeah,
thank
nice to
you
meet you
for having
too.
me.
Yeah, of course, of course. So to get started, tell us a little bit about your business and how it all got started.
So my business is PB Productions. We're a video production company located in Corner Brook, and we service most of the Western Newfoundland area, Northern Peninsula.
Yep.
Uh, you know, it's your traditional video production company. We do a lot of commercial type work.
Okay.
We work for we do tourism work. We work for government. We work for
Yeah. Full
all
array of
different
people.
types of people, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. When did it get started?
So it started up in 2009,
Okay.
and, what happened with me was after finishing film school myself, I went to, Vancouver
Nice.
and worked in the film industry, and then decided I wanted to see if I can come home for a
Yep.
little bit. So I came back, to Newfoundland with kind of always thinking, I'm gonna make my way back to Vancouver soon enough.
Yeah.
But just a little homesick. I guess I missed the mill whistle in Corner Brook. So anyway, so I came back and then I decided, there's an opportunity here to kind of start your own business. There's not much in the way of video production in Corner Brook at the time. There wasn't. Now there is.
Yeah.
And then, so I started that up and then thought I'd do that for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden the college came calling,
Yeah.
and I've been there ever since.
Awesome. It sounds like full array, and a lot of the times when I'm talking to entrepreneurs and things like that, an opportunity just kind of arises, and most of the time it's completely out of the blue, and they see the opportunity, kind of like you saw it in Corner Brook, and just kind of took it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's great. So that kind of talks about how you became an entrepreneur. So you mentioned you worked at CNA. So how long you been working here, and what is your official role?
So I'm an instructor with the digital filmmaking program here in the Bay St. George campus, and I started working at College of North Atlantic back in 2011. So
Okay.
it was September 2011 when I started.
Yeah, shortly after you got back.
Shortly after I got back, shortly after I started my business,
Yeah.
it was kind of interesting, really, it just everything kind of fell into place, right time kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I did a music video with my through my business for a local musician here, Sherman Downey, and so we did this music video. And in doing that, I got in contact with the film program here in Bay St. George
Yeah.
to see if any of their students wanted to come out and volunteer on the production, really.
Yep.
And it was all out of pocket; I was paying for it, kind of thing. So I just wanted to see if anybody would be interested in being part of it. And so I got in contact with Keith, who still works at the college with me now, and they sent out a few of their students,
Yep.
which they were great assets to the production.
Of course. Yeah.
And then the couple of months later, Keith called me up and he said, "I just let you know there's an opportunity for a job here now. There's an opening
Yeah.
in our program. If you want to apply for it, here's the link," kind of thing, right? So
Awesome.
I applied and was lucky enough to get in, and
Yep.
been here ever since, loving it
Hey.
ever since.
Hey, Wicked. That's good stuff. Good stuff. So you talked about, your role with your business and also as an instructor. So what other than that, I guess, what kind of roles did CNA play with respect to your business?
CNA, I mean, CNA plays a huge role in the fact that CNA and the digital filmmaking program is helping to build the film community here in Western Newfoundland and in Newfoundland in general.
Yeah.
So it plays a huge role in that respect. I hire a lot of my graduates. When we need extra hands, we hire the graduates. We also there is a film community now starting here in Western Newfoundland.
Awesome.
And so we're starting to see more and more activity out here.
Yep.
And so that's obviously good for my business too. And it's good for for being able to work with my graduates and for graduates being able to work with me when they need to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And staying home, right?
Yeah.
That's always
And
nice
I mean, it
too.
works both ways.
Yeah.
I've got graduates who not only do I hire them, but they hire me when they
There you
get
go.
a
Yeah.
job, right?
Yeah,
So
of course.
it helps in many different ways.
Awesome. Seems like a good community.
It is. It
Yeah.
is a good community.
Yeah. And speaking of community too, it seems like the film and TV industry in Newfoundland and Labrador has really taken off over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
How do you think that's kind of changed since you started compared to where we're to now?
So, you know, again, in Western Newfoundland, there
Yeah.
wasn't much, video production in Western Newfoundland when I started my business. Back in 2006, they did have a production in Corner Brook
Okay.
with Life with Derek. There was a TV show.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hope Productions came out with Shaftesbury, I think, Entertainment. And they came out and they produced Life with Derek, the first season out in Corner Brook. And
Did not know
so
that.
there was a bit of a community, and Paul Pope really, he drove that in the sense that he was really trying to start something out here.
Yeah.
And then and then later on, it kind of went away, and the activity went away, and but now we're starting to see more and more activity, which again, the industry growing.
Yeah.
We're starting to see more productions coming out here, coming from all over the place, whether they're coming from St. John's or they're coming from off the island. They're
Yeah.
coming from all over the world. There's
Exactly.
been, documentaries filmed out around here. There's been short films. Last year, our program, the digital filmmaking program, worked with a group from UCLA, a graduate
Wow.
student from UCLA who was producing her thesis film in out here in the Stephenville area. Well, she was actually producing it in the Port Peninsula,
Okay.
and as well as out in Gross Morin.
Nice.
So she hired on a couple of our students, our current students, and
Yeah.
worked with our program to produce this film. Right.
Very cool.
And now it's after going through some film festivals and doing
No
really
way.
well, actually.
Oh wow.
We're seeing more and more activity like that.
Yeah.
Or there's a group coming in, they're shooting a little reality show and they need some extra bodies. So, the fact that we're growing
Yeah.
keeps our students, keeps our graduates, keeps me employed.
Yeah. Keeps everyone busy. That's for sure. Hey,
Busy.
we're talking about like the changes from then and now. How has like the technology changed? Would you say?
Well, technology is changing drastically.
Yeah.
It is, it's changing every day. You
Yeah.
buy a camera and in a month later,
It's obsolete,
out of date.
eh? Yeah.
But it's the thing about it is even though there is so much more technology, there's so many things coming out. Like there's this new, virtual sets is now a big thing now in the industry where, they can have basically they're using an old technique and brought it back to life through LED screen.
Oh yeah.
And so they can, they can rear project anything you want and build it right there on the day of
Wow.
virtually. I
Jeez.
mean, that's becoming certainly a big thing in the industry. Drone technology has become a big thing in the
Yep.
industry. There's a lot of those kind of things. And actually for the smaller video production companies like myself, drone technology has opened up a whole new door, right?
Mhm.
The fact that it's accessible now and we can get out there and we can get our, anybody can get a
Yeah.
drone really,
That's right.
as long as you have the certifications to fly it, and the rules and regulations. That opens up a whole new series of shots you can get. That
Oh,
opens
for
up
sure.
a whole new,
Yeah.
So there's, the technology is certainly helping,
Yeah.
and even cameras. Some of the cameras are becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and better and better and better.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it is opened up now with the technology, but at the end of the day, we're still using the same techniques that we always
Yes.
use,
Fair enough.
and it doesn't matter if you're lighting a scene, we still use 3-point lighting,
Yeah.
and that's a technique that we've been using for a very long time,
Yeah.
and it works and it looks good, and that's what we use.
Exactly.
So, the techniques haven't really, well, they have changed, but they haven't, that's what makes, in my opinion, a movie look good.
Yeah,
I mean,
fair
you can put
enough.
as many drones in there as you want,
Yeah.
but it's the techniques that you use that's what's going to up production value.
Yeah. Really make it special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, it's Ian, host of Best in the Biz. Do you have suggestions for podcast guests or episode topics? Connect with me at www.cna.nl.ca/entrepreneurship. Thanks again for your support. So you talked about, being in Vancouver a bit.
Yeah.
What would you say some of the advantages of being, in Corner Brook or like more of a rural setting compared to, like Vancouver, Toronto, all these bigger areas? What would you say the advantages are and maybe some disadvantages as well?
Yep. So, I mean, the advantages to being in this kind of an area is the support that you get from the community.
Mm.
And I can speak to Corner Brook being a great supportive area, and it is. And anything you want to do, we do local business videos for local business. I know myself and my business partner, we used to do every Christmas, we used to do a shop local campaign.
Oh,
Right.
nice.
And it's something that we've always just kind of done.
Yeah.
And the support was bar none.
Yeah.
It was easy to get the support for it. Everybody was on board. There's a lot of support. I know for our students studying film in a smaller area like this, there's a huge benefit to that. And in Bay St. George in particular is an amazing community for the support that they give to students. I've had students being able to shoot out on the airport runway,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
with a plane flying overhead. We've shot in the airport, locked down the entire airport, and shot
Wow.
in the airport, and had the police come over we were doing a movie about 9/11, the
Nice.
scene when they get off the planes and they're coming out. And we asked the police station and the fire station if they come over. Fire station brought over this big truck that they use for
No
only for
way.
the airport. Police came over with a dozen cars,
Wow.
and we had an airport in one shot
Unreal.
for
Yeah.
a movie with very low budget.
Yeah. Where else are you going to get that to?
Where are you going to get
Right.
that kind of access? And
Yeah.
then, there was one year we were doing a movie, and it was supposed to be set in the 1990s, and we needed a car. We had a car secured. We had everything ready to go. And then on the day of production, the night of production, it was a night shoot.
Yeah.
And on the night of production, car wouldn't start. It was a car from the
Jeez.
90s, but it wouldn't start. We
Yeah.
checked it out beforehand, but we just couldn't get it going.
Yeah.
We had to jump into action. So Keith, my colleague, he ran over to one of the local mechanics here and he said, do you know where I can get a 1990s car by 5 o'clock tonight?
Yeah.
And the guy said, yeah. Pulled out his keys and he gave him a vintage 1990s, and it was like a perfect car for the
way.
character that we were portraying.
Wow.
The community
Yeah.
is just amazing. And if you're in the larger center, it's harder to get that kind of support.
For sure.
When
Yeah.
we were in Vancouver, we'd be shooting a film with a fairly significant budget.
Yeah.
And someone just would decide to shingle their house that day because then
Ah.
there was possibly going to be a payoff online. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't see that kind of stuff happening
Yeah.
here. It's more way to go for it.
Yeah, backing up
Let's help you out as much as we can.
Awesome.
So I can speak to producing films in this area. It's just absolutely amazing the kind of support that we get from here, and I can't
Fantastic.
think of a better community.
Fantastic. And it's beautiful as well.
And it's beautiful. Look at the backdrops. that
Yeah,
are here, right?
exactly.
There's,
Hey.
there's backdrops here in the Bay St. George area and the Port-au-Port area, and Corner Brook area that
Yeah.
you're not going to find anywhere else.
That's right.
Grossmore, we've shot movies down in Grossmore
Yep.
through the program, and those are locations that I'm sure Spielberg would be hungry to get to.
Definitely. Definitely. You know it. So talking about the future of film and industry, what kind of techniques or different storytelling techniques or anything like that do you think will kind of shape the future?
Well, I do think that this new technology, this rare projection technology, is going to take over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is a big game changer right now. But the techniques, the storytelling techniques have not changed much. So I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be much change in movies.
Yeah.
In the future, the way they're produced, sure, and they're going to find new ways to produce these and new innovative ways to go. I believe that we're going to go back to, even though I just said, I was just talking about this rear projection technology. I think we're going to go back to more holistic filmmaking. Where
Oh, yeah?
we go on location more, and we don't use the CGI so much. We use animatronics, or we go
Yep.
back to stuff like that. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that actually
Okay.
coming back personally.
Yeah,
but,
A bit more authentic, I guess, is
I
it?
think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
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 Okay. Very interesting.
Feels a little bit more natural in camera sometimes, and
Yeah.
I do see a little bit of a push towards that direction, even though
Yeah.
the technology is getting stronger. also the audience is getting much more keen on the technology too, right?
Definitely.
So, I think about this kind of a thing, imagine going to the theaters, imagine sitting in the theaters the first time, The Exorcist, came out.
Yeah.
I will never get to experience something like that,
Yeah.
right? Because now we've seen so much now that there's nothing that's gonna spook you like that,
Yeah,
you
fair
know?
enough. That's
So,
so true.
yeah.
Yeah, that is very true. So looping it back to your business, what would you say your most successful small business moment has been? Maybe, a time where you did a certain video that really stood out and, you look back on that as one of the best videos you've done, or maybe it's a favorite client, something like that.
Well, a few years ago, we worked with Theater Newfoundland and Labrador, and we produced a documentary. And it was they hired us to come down and produce this documentary. Uh, we followed a playwright for 4 years as
Wow.
he wrote a story about 17 World War I veterans that were found on the cenotaph down in Cowhead.
Wow.
So it was an amazing little story that we were just really, blown away by. And he was writing a play about it. And so we were invited to basically follow that process and get deep into the story and get into the story of World War I and what's that all about. But not only that, get into the story of those 17 men that were
Yeah.
found on the cenotaph. And, so we did that and we followed each one of those men and kind of their path and where they went. And, that was a pretty special, a special project for us to be part of.
I would say,
A lot
yeah.
of fun. We had a lot of fun, but we learned a lot through it. And at the end of it, we ended up selling it to CBC for, to be on their GEM network.
Oh,
And, it was a great project to be part of. And so I think when I think of my production company,
yeah.
that's the one that really stands out to me as the most special moments that we've
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, no doubt. That sounds really interesting. I love kind of hearing all the war stories and watching the footage and stuff like that. So, more information, honestly, I might check that out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's called
Uh,
17 Men.
17 man. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that one out for sure. So, you talked about working with the Theater Newfoundland Labrador Network. What other kind of organizations around Newfoundland and Labrador do you work with? Is it more local? Is it more provincial? Maybe national?
That we work with through our through PB Productions. We do a lot of work with the government, the tourism. We do a lot of work with small businesses and
Yep.
those kind of things. But the organizations, we haven't done a heck of a lot with the organizations. I know with our program at the college,
Yep.
We partner with the with NIFCO from time to time. We've worked with NIFCO from time to time. We've worked with other groups and organizations who have a very important role to play
Mhm.
in the industry and
Yeah,
the
of course.
growth of the industry.
Yep.
We work a lot with Picture NL.
Okay.
Used to be Newfoundland Film Development Corporation,
Gotcha.
Newfoundland Labrador Film Development Corporation. So we work a lot with Picture NL through our program, and so those are all extremely important to the industry as a whole.
Yeah, no doubt.
Here in Newfoundland.
No doubt. Very good. Very good. Last question here. So, what advice would you give an aspiring entrepreneur looking to get started?
So anybody who's looking to get into video production, entrepreneur, I'm not much of an entrepreneur. I know how to run a camera. I know how to edit a film. I know how to put it together a story, and I see an opportunity for a service, but I have a hard time considering myself an entrepreneur, which I suppose I am in certain ways.
Yep.
But but it's I kind of I did what I loved, and I think that's a big part of it. Is you've got to enjoy what you do.
For sure.
I think that would be certainly my advice. Is if you're going to get into something, know that it's going to be extremely long days.
Yeah.
And the stress is going to be high from time to time. And if it's something that you believe in and something that you, truly enjoy doing, it will make it a lot easier and you will be a lot more successful. So I think that's the big thing is knowing what you're selling is important and has value and making sure, you always keep that in mind as you go.
Yeah, for sure. That's some great advice. No doubt. Doing what you love is definitely an important thing. And like you said, it really matters on those long days.
Absolutely.
So,
There's, I mean, I've been doing this for a fairly long time, and there's not many days that I actually went, man, today was a lot of work.
yeah,
Even though it was a lot of work, and it
yeah,
was, 24 hours straight just working, which
exactly.
is not right. But at the same time, it didn't feel like that because it's something that you believe in,
Yeah,
something that you believe in the product, want to see it to the end,
yeah, of
and you
course.
enjoy it.
Yep. Awesome. Well, appreciate you coming on today, Peter.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. That's a wrap for today's episode, folks. So if you like today's episode, please leave a review wherever you listen to our podcast. And you can also find us at www.dna.nl/entrepreneur. And have a great day.